Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Mirikitani with another episode of Weighing In, brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. Joined by my good friend Mark Ostrander. Grant Turner is in Wichita. Let's start with the Nationals. The NAIA Nationals are this weekend. The Junior College Nationals, which is near and dear to our hearts, is this weekend. Yep. And the Women's Collegiate Nationals are this weekend.
Yep. A lot of good wrestling this weekend. Plus all the, conferences are also Division I this weekend. So,
right. And the D2 conferences were last weekend.
Yep.
Because
their nationals are next weekend then, right?
Yeah. Correct.
What about Division III? When's Division III's?
I believe they're on the same schedule as Division II.
Okay.
So, because I was in Oklahoma City and I ran into a buddy of mine and they were staying because Central Oklahoma was hosting the D2 qualifier the next day on Sunday.
Okay.
I was in there for the state tournament. So, JUCOs will always have a near and dear place to your heart and my heart, Mark. We both wrestled in them. We both coached in them. You won a national title as a coach in there. So, shout out to those programs. And, the rankings have been pretty crazy over there this year. Like at one point, Triton was number 1, and now they're not in the top 10.
Yeah.
As somebody that did the rankings for years in junior college, it's really hard. And it's really hard for two reasons, at least. Number one is you don't have across the country head-to-heads. So there's certain schools that just never, like a Nassau may never wrestle a Clackamas kind of thing. I know NEO held a collegiate duels down there, and I think Iowa Central won them. Yeah. But there's a lot of programs that don't hit each other. And then here's the other thing. A lot of those coaches just don't turn in any data. Like they don't want to be ranked.
Well, and another thing, David, a lot of the coaches don't even have a lineup until second semester. I mean, they're wrestling guys that normally don't wrestle. And then second semester, they're going to see how the kids do. So by middle of February, they kind of have an idea what their kid's going to be able to do. But they just say, hey, we haven't had them ranked all year. Why start now?
Right. But I think it takes away from the credibility of the rankings of the tournament where like an 11 seed comes through or somebody didn't even have ranked. We used to try to do it where we would get one person to rank each region, and then you kind of try to blend them.
Yep.
So, it's interesting. I look back on it. Doing that probably gave me a lot of background for doing the rankings alongside you for track, because there's more. It's easier to find data points in Division I, and there's more head-to-heads and more. Will Mark beat Grant and Grant beat David? So Mark has to be above David, kind of thing. So anyway, so I know GT's getting ready. I spoke to him yesterday. So shout out to the NAIA programs, the junior college programs, the women national programs. So I got an email from USA Wrestling. I need to read this because this is pretty insanely good. NCAA women's wrestling teams reach critical milestone. National Collegiate Women's Wrestling Championship, acronym NCWWC. Executive Committee announces the success of over 40 programs meeting all their divisional rules, allowing for the consideration of the NCAA to sponsor a national championship in women's wrestling. The NCWWC Executive Committee is pleased to announce that NCAA women's wrestling has successfully met the requirements established for consideration. Teams across all three divisions report meeting their respective divisional NCAA rules required to be considered for an NCAA championship sponsorship. This is a quote. With the help of our coalition partners, Wrestle Like a Girl, USA Wrestling, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and the National Wrestling Coaches Association, we are proud to share that 43 teams have reported meeting the divisional bylaws. We also want to express our appreciative support from the NCAA Committee on Women's Athletics, the NCAA staff, and institutional members of that committee for their support of the sport, said Lisa Goddard McGurk, chair of the NCWWC Executive Committee. Finally, I also want to thank the administrators of member institutions who gave of their time to serve on the executive committee. Administrators from all three divisions serve on this critical committee, which provide guidance and leadership throughout the process. The NCAA teams presently compete in the NCWWC, which serves as the national championship for all NCAA schools until the NCAA sponsors a championship. Here's what leaders are saying, and there's a quote here from Sally Roberts, Rich Bender, Leroy Smith, and Mike Moyer. Obviously, and these people are all super positive about this. So, this will be on the USA Wrestling website, which is themat.com. This is gigantic news, Mark. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I became a big fan the last 3 years of women's wrestling, watching how hard these girls work, and the technique has gotten so good. They're very competitive all over the world. I'd say the only team that really outperforms us on a regular basis is Japan. So, and I think we're making strides there. So, yeah, it's great to see it happen.
Yeah, I was with Terry Pack. You're probably actually better friends with Terry than I am because you coach together. I was with him in December at the Wonder Woman tournament, which has like 550 girls wrestling in it. And he's starting that new college in Beatrice, Nebraska, and he was recruiting. And I was part of that event and helped them do some fundraising and things like that. And I did the commentary for the semis and the finals alongside Amon Prater. And skill level is really good. Intensity is really good. I just think more importantly, like, there's this thing that came out at Oklahoma State that, like, they're not presently pursuing a women's team. The more that it gets recognized, the more likely it is that big Power 5 programs will add women's wrestling, because it's not a moneymaker right now. Now, to be fair, most men's programs are financial loss leaders. We can get in the whole capitalism, socialism of this thing, but in terms of wrestling, men and women should both be given equal opportunity. And the dreams of girls, when I talk to USA Wrestling, anything below high school we're calling girls, and anything college on up we're calling women. So just the terminology. When girls are growing up and wrestling in middle school and high school and little league, and now can see, okay, like, I can wrestle at Presbyterian, I can wrestle at Iowa, I can wrestle at all the schools that are really good right now, like King and McKendree and all these other schools. I know Grandview is really good in women's wrestling right now. They might be ranked number 1. Baker, Ottawa, Missouri Valley. I have friends at all these programs. It's awesome. Like, we were at the Ottawa duel, and the women were cheering for the men, and the men were cheering for the women. They're going at different times. So I also think it will probably get more people exposed to freestyle earlier, because they wrestle freestyle in college in the women's program. So unbelievably good news. Anytime you get a quote from Rich Bender and those folks, something good is going on. Very quickly, I did a Matt chat. It's out this week. It's with Joel Kester, who's I think it's director of sports. I just call him the Tulsa sports commissioner. I've talked to you several times about Joel off air. Really, really an awesome human being and a doer and a big fan of wrestling. And he really talked about all things Tulsa, like how to get around, where, like, actual resources if you're going to be in town, the number of restaurants, the number of hotels, shuttles. There's going to be food trucks. There's all kinds of stuff. They're doing pop-up bars. So there's going to be more places to eat and drink quickly. I've been in BOK Center the last couple of years for the Big 12s. It's pretty much like Enterprise Center. It's not quite as new as like the Detroit Little Caesars, Little Caesars facility. But it's a big circle building that holds about 17,000 people, like all the other ones.
Yep.
So, and they're actually doing things to help out their homeless and all kinds of other stuff. So there's a lot to look at there. And then if you have time to break that down and listen to it too. So where do you want to start, Mark? You want to start with allocations?
You wanted to go through the allocations real quick and kind of explain why they got the numbers that they got. So I think that'd probably be a good place before we get into actually the seeds and brackets and things like that at some of the Power 5 conferences.
Okay, so this is from Seton Hall Pirate. And if you don't know who Seton Hall Pirate is, you should. He does a ton of legwork, puts out an email every week that tells people wherever they are. He does a ranking scale. It's all based on numbers, but super deep dive. So this shows you how many in the weight class. So for example, at 125, the cut line was 29 people and a 710 winning percentage, top 29 in coaches ranking and RPI. And so what this shows you, for example, we just use the first one. If you're not if you're only listening to this, go back and watch this. You can see the link. It's wrestlingbypirate.wordpress.com. But for example, and just because we're not going to do this the whole hour, but just pick one weight. At 125, Jarrett Tremblay and Jack Wagner earned AQs, okay? Now, if you go to the ACC seeds, Jarrett Tremblay is the 1, Eddie Ventresca is the 2, Jack Wagner is the 3, Colton Camacho, etc. So the reason why I bring this up is it's not necessarily the seeds within the tournament, and certainly not within the same order. Yep. So if Eddie Ventresca places second, and I'm only using that as an example because he's seeded second, he essentially steals Jack Wagner's spot.
Yep.
Am I making sense, Mark? I know you get it, but am I making sense?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So then if that were to happen, and certainly no juju towards either one of those guys, but Jack Wagner, along with everybody else, goes into the pool of folks that haven't qualified. But if you earned the spot, you go to the top of that list. Does that make sense as well, Mark?
Yep.
Okay. So probably the main thing to know as I go through this, just scrolling, is Malik Heinzelman is out from Ohio State, which is borderline tragic for a fifth-year senior for that to happen.
Yeah.
They qualified, Big Ten qualified 8. So whoever takes 8th there, by definition, will get a spot that Malik Heinzelman qualified for. So, and then I'm going to just scroll through here, see if there's anybody else that's really, they're neither scratch out. So Jesse Vasquez, okay, so I talked to somebody from Arizona State today. He's banged up. So Yasagiri's wrestling. You and I were in Iowa when the Nebraska-Arizona State duel was on.
Yep.
Yasagiri, ton of freestyle success. A valiant prep kid, I'm almost positive. And he beat Brock Hardy. So, but he doesn't qualify the spot because he doesn't have enough matches. So the champion there will earn the spot. Am I making sense there? Because they were the only one.
That's it.
Yes, like the Pac-12 and 141 and the SoCon both have 1. So the winner of the bracket, the conference champion, gets the spot. Okay. Caleb Downing from West Virginia is out at 157. So somebody will get an extra spot there. So I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted people to understand this. So what happens when the conference tournaments are over? They match those up. Like they go, okay, like, hey, Mark and GT qualified the weight, but Mark and David actually wrestled. So, you know, let's say there's 70 wrestlers, ballpark, and 30 and 29. It's somewhere between 20. We can pull this up real quick.
I think it's 28 or 20.
It's different at each weight.
True.
It's different at each weight, but the number is, you know, somewhere between like 27 and 29 in every case, pretty much.
Yes.
Let's just say it's 28. Then, and there's 73 schools, so the other 45 guys all go into a pool for those last 5 spots.
Yep.
But it then goes to that gold, silver, bronze, copper qualification. So they have the rubric for every single person already. So like the most obvious example would be if you take a number 1 guy in the country, like a Spencer Lee, RBY, on down the line. If they were to not qualify, they're going to be the first one in.
Yeah.
So pretty much those guys have qualified for nationals already. And, you know, unless they like punch somebody or something crazy like that. But based on just credibility, body of work, they're in. And I think that's good. I think that's how it should be.
Yep.
And it used to not be that way. It used to be have these seating arguments, and it was kind of crazy. So you and I have both been a part of those. So We talked about Heinzelman being out. The other thing that was interesting is Clay Lout, who we really haven't talked about all year from North Carolina, who was an All-American last year, he hasn't been in the rankings in the top 10, like he fell out, but he'd been ranked, but he must be hurt as well because he's not even on the roster for the ACC. So that obviously really hurts North Carolina.
Yeah.
So
one of the surprises that I saw was Teskey did not get an automatic qualifying bid because Iowa did not turn in his name. He was ranked in the coaches poll, and he's ranked. He had the 2 out of the 3, but because they did not submit his name, he didn't get one of the spots.
Who'd they turn in?
I think they just left it blank for some reason. I think it was probably just a clerical error because they would want him to have an automatic sit. I'm just telling you what I think it was.
There's something more to that. Those guys don't make mistakes like that.
Well, you wouldn't think so, but they're he's the 8th seed in the tournament, and they have 9 qualifiers. So
yeah, so if you're looking at
steal a spot.
Yeah. So if you're looking at this, what we have up now is the list of how many AQs are from each conference. So, for example, if you take the ACC, 2 at 25, 3 at 33, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 5, 4, 3 for a total of 34. So in some of these weight classes, we'll have to see if they wrestle like a true second, or where there's 4, if they'll wrestle a true 4th. So, like, I know that that's happened in these other conferences. Like, so for example, in the Big Ten, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 of the 10 weights have 9 or more. Okay. Yep. So they're going to have to wrestle a true 9th.
Yes.
So I don't know if they'll wrestle a true 10th in that one weight. That'd be interesting, right?
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to wrestle for 9th, and the guy that, or they may not even wrestle, it'll be the last 2 guys. They'll wrestle to get into that match. Then I don't think it really matters. If that makes sense.
Well, you're talking about in the
7th and 8th is going to wrestle for 7th and 8th place. So 9th and 10th, once they get the rest of the guys, because there's going to be 6 guys left out because there's 14 teams. So you're going to have 6 guys left out, and they're going to have their own little thing going on to get to the last 2 guys.
Well, 2 of them will already have been eliminated in the first round pigtail wrestlebacks.
Okay.
So it'll be 4 guys. It's just 2 more guys that feed into that.
Yes.
7th and 8th grade, 7th and 8th place match. So they'll be like, let's say you lose to get in and I lose to get in. We're both technically tied for 9th.
Okay.
So we got to wrestle for when it takes 9.
Correct. But what about 10? They're both in?
I don't know. Unless they wrestle for a true 10th. I mean, but then what would stink about that is you and I would have to wrestle for 9th, and then the loser would have to wrestle another match. I don't think I would guess they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
So one year at the Big 12s when we were there, they made an agreement they weren't going to do this match, and then somehow they switched it. So it's fascinating to see. Not shockingly, the Big 10 has the most with 88, followed by the Big 12, 64. EIWA is third at 45. Third at 45, followed by ACC 34, MAC 23, PAC 12, 18, SoCon 12. Each conference is guaranteed 10 because if you win your conference, you go no matter what.
Yep.
So, okay, so we got allocations and AQs. So, do you want to go from like the ridiculous to the sublime? Is that what you want to do, Mark?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, so we will go and pull up the EIWA seeds. We're going to try to do.
That's a good place to start, David.
That's what I said. Start with the ridiculous, right?
Let's do it.
Okay, so there's just some things here that don't make sense to Mark and I.
Some.
Well,
let's talk about it. And I think Brett Unger is going to be a really good kid down the road. I think he's not quite there yet, but I think he's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. And this is just my opinion. But he has lost this year to Patrick Glory, 10-2. He's lost this year to Ryan Miller, and he's lost to Harvard this year. And he got the number 1 seed. Now, I don't know how that happens. It's something about their conference, how they rate kids and so on and so forth, because this isn't the only one. There's a bunch of them. It just doesn't make any sense, David. I'm not going on a tantrum. It doesn't affect me or you. It just is goofy.
Well, it does sort of, like, for example, let's say, for the sake of argument, that Glory should be the 1 and Unger should be the 2. Let's say that's the only discrepancy, okay?
Okay.
Then let's say the Harvard kid makes the finals, right?
Yep.
So now he's going to place above Unger and Miller, where if Glory was the 1, I mean, there's just a lot of goofy things that can happen here.
Yeah.
So we feel like there's a big problem at 125. 133 seems right, although Phipps is ranked above McGonigal, and McGonigal's ranked in the top 8 in the country.
Yeah, McGonigal beat Phipps this year, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, the other thing is this, but I'm probably making an argument that doesn't exist. I do know that for most conference tournaments, they only count conference matches. So,
well, let's go back to 25. When you lose to the number 2, 3, and 4 seeded kid, and you're number 1, I don't think that's what they go by.
I'm just saying, like, for example, if let's just pick a guy who they didn't wrestle. If Noah Surden had pinned Spencer Lee, that doesn't help him in the Big 12 seeding. The Big 12 seeding is only based on Big 12 matches.
Okay.
So I'm not in any way defending what's going on here in the IWA. I'm not even sure what the
let's do some more weights, David, real quick. We don't have to spend too much time on them.
Okay.
I think most of the people listening are going to see what's going on.
Cornella's number 1 at 41. So your boy Doug Zaff, there's your guy.
Oh, Doug. Now Doug's had a good year this year. He's been pretty good. Yanni did beat him pretty bad in the duel, so they gave Yanni the 2 seed, which is really going to make the kid from Lehigh just tickled pink that he gets to wrestle him in the semis.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So just in the fantasy grade composite websites, Yanni is 1 and Doug Zaff is 11.
And if I'm not mistaken, David, at this weight, they're only allocated 2 guys.
Hold on. Yes, that's crazy.
Makes a big difference when you're wrestling Yanni in the semis instead of Doug Zapp. As good as Doug is, probably deserves to be the number 1 ranked kid in this weight next to Yanni, but, I don't get it.
Okay. I wanted to see something real quick, but give me 1 second here. All right. 57. Artelona's over Humphreys. There's another one.
Yep.
65. Here's one you got no problem with, right?
No, because Quincy Monday's ranked 4th, and Ramirez is ranked, I think, 7th or 8th. I think Monday beat him in the duel. So, yeah, I'd say that's about right where Princeton wants to be.
Yeah, and Quincy Monday should probably be up to the 3rd seed now because Shane Griffith lost in that meet that almost nobody thought was even happening when Stanford wrestled Oregon State, which was essentially during the bye week. So, okay, Foca, that seems about right. Tate Samuelson, that seems. Please tell me Michael Beard's the 1 seed. Okay, all right.
Barely.
What do you mean barely? You don't know that. It could have been automatic.
I'm just going by what the other weights look like. I think it was probably they tossed a coin.
Okay, and then Yaroslav is number 1 at heavyweight.
Yep.
So, by the way, Slavikowski is transferring up after next year, and I have it on very good authorities transferring to a very good Big Ten school. So, just
good.
Put that out there ahead of time. Okay, so we'll stop sharing here. All right, let's go to ACCs next. So I think what we should do, Mark, is we'll go through these, and if you pick let's just pick if we think it's going to be other than the number 1 versus number 2 in the finals. How's that?
All right, sounds good.
That feels like it's a lot easier, right?
Yep.
You want evens or odds?
I'll do evens.
Okay, Tremblay, Ventresca. I will pick chalk. No
Same.
upset.
Same.
73. Who you got? Is it Philippine Latona or do you see an upset?
No, I think that'd be it.
Okay. I'm rooting for Kyarini's from St. Louis, but Latona's been really good this year. I will pick Cole Matthews. What should we also pick, I guess, any upsets in the finals? Maybe let's do that. Okay, so I got Tremblay winning 25, and I'll pick Latona to win 33.
All right, I'll agree with you.
On both?
Yep.
Okay. I will take Cole Matthews over Jack at 41.
Okay, I will take Jack over Cole Matthews at 41.
All right. What do you got at 49?
I don't know. I don't even know who's wrestling, but I don't get to see it.
Hold on. I got to share this tab. Sorry. I clicked out. My bad.
That's all right.
Can you see it now?
I can.
Okay.
149. Hanson, Artelona. I'm going to go Hanson wins it. Chalk.
I will agree. So 57. Let's do this. Odds. I'll pick O'Connor, but I'll pick Andonian to beat Ed Scott, but that's sort of a match worth picking. And then what we should do is set an over-under on that match.
Yeah, that could be a 22, 23, 24 point.
Or like 4 and just somebody pins somebody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm going to take Austin O'Connor, and I'm also going to take Bryce to be in the finals.
And you have O'Connor winning.
Yes.
Okay, you got evens here at 65. So I've seen a couple of these guys, Holden, Heller, and McCoy, and Singleton. I got to commentate all 3 of those guys. So what do you think here?
I'm going to take Heller to win it, and I'm going to put Singleton getting second.
I'll take Singleton to win it over Heller.
Okay.
All right, 74. I think Mackay over Faison's a pretty simple pick.
Yep.
Okay, 84. You're going here. Hidley and Bolin. Anything?
Yeah, I take Hidley and Bolin. I take Hidley with the win.
Okay, so 97 is sort of the controversial match where this is the match where Trumbull spiked Bonacorsi. Andy Smith beat Trumbull in the duel, which was big for them and winning that duel.
Yep.
I'll take Bonacorsi over Trumbull in the finals.
I'm going to take Trumbull over Bonacorsi in the finals.
Now, you realize if that happens, like the 97 rankings and nationals are chaos, right?
Well, they already are, if you think.
No, they're not. Bonacorsi is the number 1 because he's undefeated.
Okay, but they're still kind of goofy.
But I'm saying who gets...
Yeah, it will be a lot more fun. It'd be fun if it happens. Let's put it that way. It'll be fun to see what they do.
If he loses, I think Michael Beard is probably up next, but it'd be interesting to see.
Yep.
Okay, heavyweight. I don't even know who Niesenbaum is, but it's your pick.
I'm going to take North Carolina State to win it over Niesenbaum.
And the big news here is Pitt is not wrestling the kid that...
The freshman.
Yeah. Dayton. I can't think of his last name right now, but... Okay. So, I mean, we can do the math. Who you got winning the tournament? NC State, VTech, or Pitt?
I think NC State wins it.
Okay. All right. Let's go to here. We'll stop sharing. Okay. We're keeping it moving. You want to go Big 12s next?
Let's do Big 12s. I'll go in your wheelhouse. You know this better than me.
See. So people that don't know this, Mark and I for years, it's probably the first year we haven't done this, Mark, maybe last year. Well, we used to pick like all these matches and point spreads and everything else. And I would say over like 1,000 matches, you might be up like, I'd say like maybe 510 to 490. Is that fair?
Probably.
Something like that. So But there was one year where I picked you were killing me, where it's pretty close, and I went like in the Big 10 and Big 12 semis, I went like 32-8 or something. So
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I had an off day.
It was good for me.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead,
All
David. You're first.
All right. I think Killian Cardinal is really good, and I think he's going to be the number 3 seed at Nationals, Mark.
Okay.
So, I mean, just to talk about that real quick, because we left ourselves enough time here. At 25, the sort of the consensus rankings right now are Spencer Lee 1, Glory 2, Cronin 3, Ramos 4, Barnett 5, McKee 6, Cardinal 7. Cardinal's going to, if he wins, he's going to be undefeated, and he's going to have conference tournament title. So he's going to have criteria. He's going to have better record and conference title. Now, he may not have as many quality wins, but I also think that the coaches' rankings, like people are going to look at this and go, he hadn't lost to anybody.
Yep. I agree.
Now, he may end up 4. They may take the Big 10 runner-up over him. And if that's the case, that kind of stinks for him. Like you don't want to be 4. You want to be 6 or 7.
Yep.
You don't want to be away from Spencer. But anyway, all right. So I know Volk beat Certain really bad. So as much as I want to pick Certain because he was in my meet and I know him, I'm going to go Cardinal over Volk in the finals.
Okay, I'm gonna take Volk over Cardinal in the finals.
Wow. True freshman.
Yep.
All right. 33.
Pretty sure he's a world. What, didn't he win worlds, David?
U20s.
Yeah, I think he can wrestle with seniors.
Cardinal's really strong, but it's a good point. Okay. So you've got what, Biscaglia over Fippen here in the finals?
No. I got Fix over Redding in the finals.
You got Zach Redding beating Biscaglia.
He beat him in the duel.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I will agree.
I shouldn't
with
give
you.
that information out, David. It's kind of confidential. You might not have known that, but I'm going to give it out anyway.
Fix over Redding. Okay, I will concur. 41. So this is an interesting weight when like Alan Hart is the 6 seed, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to take Alirez, and I'm going to take Hart to come out of the bottom. I'll take Alirez to win it.
I'm going to take Alirez over Happel.
Okay. 49. So this is a really sort of balanced way. Tons of close matches here. You're first, right?
I'm going to take Pinheiro Johnson over Mahler in the finals. And I don't even know if he will win, but I want to see that match again because their duel was so phenomenal the way those two went at it.
Yeah, and it was 1-1 till it wasn't, right?
Yep.
So anyway, so I'll go with the same thing. I know Mahler. I like Mahler. His families are dear people, but sometimes it's hard to beat a really good guy twice like that. All right, 57. Oh, good. This means you get 65. Okay. I will take
Perfect.
I'll take Franek over G.
And I concur.
65. Go ahead.
I'll take David Carr over O'Toole.
Closer?
Maybe score-wise, but I don't think there's really ever going to be a doubt who's going to win the match. I think David Carr is just a little bit too savvy, and he's just awfully good on his feet. I thought he may have a problem getting away from Keegan O'Toole. We found out in the duel that Keegan O'Toole has a problem getting away from David Carr because David Carr got out within probably 8 to 10 seconds, and he rode him for, David Carr rode O'Toole for 2 minutes. So, on his feet, he got taken down twice. I mean, that's a big gap, and I don't think you can fix that in a week and a half. I'm not saying that he can't fix it by the finals of the national tournament, but right now I'm going to go with David Carr winning over Keegan O'Toole.
So that was going to be my follow-up question. Who wins nationals if they wrestle in the finals?
I can't tell you right now. I got to watch how this match goes.
But we did say at the beginning of the year that we didn't think one guy would win all 3.
We did, and I said that also.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you I'm picking in the finals.
I will agree with you with Carr over O'Toole, but I feel like the match is going to be a lot closer. I'm sure O'Toole was making adjustments that night, and I'm sure David Carr is too, but it's hard to adjust when you dominate it.
Yep.
So, okay, 74. So this was interesting because Plott had lost to Mako, and he'd also lost to Cade DeVos. But I guess he had enough other quality wins. So I think the wild card here is Demetrius Romero, right, Mark?
Yeah.
And also Runyon. Like Runyon, I think a year ago, pinned Plott in the duel.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Plott to beat Mako, but it wouldn't shock me if Romero beat Mako, and it wouldn't honestly shock me if Runyon beat Plott.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I don't know enough about Sam Wolf from the Air Force Academy.
Right.
I'm sure he's probably pretty good, or he wouldn't have got the number 3 seed. So
right.
I think I'm going to take Sam Wolf against Mako, but I'm going to take Mako. You know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to take Demetrius Romero to win it over Wolf. There's a kicker for you.
There you go. There you go. Okay. 84. I have evens.
Sure. No, I got evens.
You're first here. You're first. Yeah.
I'm going to take Keckeisen over Coleman. I think they're just leaps and bounds better than everybody else in this league.
I think so too. Okay, 97. Okay, so this is fascinating, right? Tanner Sloan gets the 1 seed.
Yep.
So I don't think he's wrestled Elam or Bastida, right?
Not yet this year.
Right. So Elam probably would have been the 1 seed, but he lost to Serber, and Bastida would have been the 1 seed, but he lost to Elam.
Yep.
So those guys listen to each other. I mean, I guess the Elam, Bastida, Serber is A beat B, beat C, beat D.
Correct.
And then I think you go, okay, well, Elam and Bastida have a better body of work than Serber, so Serber's the 4, and then they go head-to-head for the 2-3.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit off the board just because, like, you picked a fun one there. I'm going to take Elam over Serber in the finals.
I'm going to take Elam over Sloan. Sloan beat Serber by, I think, 7 in the duel, David.
I know.
It wasn't that close.
I know.
And he struggles getting out, and Sloan's pretty good on top.
Okay, heavyweight. So this is an interesting C2 because Doucette just beat Heinzelman, and Heinzelman's 2 slots above him.
Yeah.
Who you got?
I'm gonna take Sam over Wyatt in the finals.
And Skylar beat Zach Elam, got the first takedown, and just, he did a really good job of just hand fighting, even though Elam's significantly bigger. I'm going to be a homer here. I'm going to take Elam over or Hendrickson over Elam in the finals.
Okay.
So, all right, let me see where we are in our agenda here. So, okay, we are knocking things out here. So I do want to get to the team rankings eventually because like going into nationals. So we're going to stop sharing this.
You don't want to do Big Ten?
No, we're going to go to Big Tens next.
Okay. All right.
I got you, man. Where is the Big Tens? Hold on. Cancel. Here they are. Okay. So I'm going to delete this one and delete this one. Delete this one. Okay, here we go.
I'm guessing with Heinzelman out, they'll probably redraw the seeds at 125 just so people understand. Because I think Heinzelman was the number 7 seed.
Can you see this here?
I think Braxton Brown will go to 7, and then Dean Peterson will be 8. Medley be 9.
Slide everybody up. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you can see this now, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I got odds again.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to pick this just because I want to see it again. I'm going to pick Spencer Lee against Matt Ramos. Just because, like, Matt Ramos is the only guy that's threatened Spencer Lee at all this year. He's the only guy that's had the lead on him for sure, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so
no, that's not true. Penn State had the lead on him.
Oh, that first takedown, right?
Yep.
And then sort of almost cradle,
Is
right?
he in here? Oh,
No.
man, I would have taken the Penn State kid. He's got a nice cradle. Then I'm going to take Spencer Lee over Liam Cronin. I think Cronin's actually the real deal. And I think Ramos is going to be an All-American. I called that early in the year. He's my pick. But I think Cronin is really, really good this year.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see where Andres Gonzalez falls in here. I would guess he may fall in at like 12, 13, 14. Okay. So you've got – so that in the Big Ten, it's like with a guy like Spencer. So you have Cronin over Ramos, and then Barnett's beating McKee every time. So, I mean, there can always be drama, but like I got Ramos over Cronin. But I'm sure Cronin beat him head-to-head during the year, or else they wouldn't have him seated that way. All right, 33. So
I'm going to take RBY over Lucas Bird in the finals.
You love Lucas Bird.
I think he's tough. I think he's just hard-nosed, loves to scrap. I think Jesse's the same way. I just think Bird's just – I mean, I know he beat him this year early in the year, and it was right on the edge, late second takedown right at the end. But I think Bird's probably going to take him out this time.
And you like Nagao too, but you think Bird gets past him?
Yes.
How good of a weight is this that Rayvon Foley and Taylor Lamont are the 9 and 10?
Pretty good weight.
Yeah. I will agree with you on RBY over Bird. So, and for all the same reasons, I don't think I have a whole lot to add there. All right, 41. So for people, if they're at home, it's Woods, Bartlett, Hardy, Tal Shahar, Berglund, Puccino, Oliveri, Felius, D'Amelio, Colmatt, and Zargo. So I'll take Woods. I'll take Woods over Bartlett. I mean, I'll go chalk here.
I'll take Woods over Hardy.
Okay.
They haven't wrestled this year, and I think Hardy's been pretty impressive this year, except for his loss to Arizona State.
Yeah, that was weird, though, right?
Yeah, he got cradled for 6. Couldn't come back.
I mean, but he lost by 6. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the match was even besides that.
Yep.
That's a Yasagiri kid we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, 49. So here's a good example. So Gomez is not the 1 seed, even though he beat Sasso because it was in the All-Star meet, and that doesn't count. So the seeds here are Sasso, Gomez, Yaya, Murin, Van Ness, Blockus, Rooks, Ethan Miller, Chance Lammer, Tony White, etc. So first of all, Mark, how much do you think there's a chance that Gomez just weighs in and steps out and then doesn't wrestle?
I think he's planning on wrestling, but I don't know if it's going to hold up for the whole tournament. So I could definitely see him wrestling into the semis and then maybe defaulting out to 6.
Yeah, I do too. And so he's the 2 seed, which means he'd get Graham Rooks in the quarters, but Rooks would wrestle Tony White. Like he would get a pigtail bye, even though there's 14 guys. I mean, it's important to point out he's automatically into the quarters. So if we're right, he's only got to win 1 match.
Yep.
And that would also prevent him from having to go through any of the crap on the backside to get one of the automatic spots.
Correct.
Okay. So
I'm gonna take Max Murin over Sasso in the semis, and I'm gonna take Yanni to make the other finals.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'm gonna take Max Murin to win the Big Tens.
Okay. I'm not that great.
He beat Yaya twice last year. He lost in the duel in a close match. He had Sammy beat last year in the duel and got reversed with like 8 seconds left to lose. So, I mean, he's in these matches. I think I just think it's his time. We'll
Okay.
see. But he's got to beat Van Ness. Van Ness is tough. Boy, maybe I ought to rethink this. No, I'm going to still take Mirren.
He beat Van Ness like 1 takedown to none in the duel, correct?
Yes.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
2 takedowns.
I'm gonna take Sasso over Yaya.
All right.
I mean, that's not very courageous. Yaya always wrestles Sammy close, but just can't get it done.
Yeah.
So all right, 157. Peyton Robb, your adopted son, Levi Haynes, Kendall Coleman, Chase Saldati, Kobe Seabrook, Will Lewan, Michael Carr, Trevor Chumbley, Garrett Modal, Brayton Lee is the 11. Patty Gallagher's the 12. This is chaos.
Yep.
So to put this in perspective, Will Lewan and Brayton Lee were both ranked in the top 4 in the country this year in the preseason, and they are the 6-11 matchup.
Yeah.
Like they're the match out of the gate.
It's nuts.
Okay. I'm going to make a crazy pick. I'm going to pick Will Lewan over Peyton Robb to win the tournament.
That is great.
Here's my thought process. Here's my thought process. Brayton Lee has been banged up or just not right all year, so I think Will Lewan can win that match. Okay?
Okay.
He lost to Kendall Coleman, but he got caught in a 6-point move and lost by 1. I think that's a lot easier for him to make up that match. Okay. And him and Levi Haynes went to like the rideouts. Anytime you're in a coin flip, you can reverse that. Plus, I've been really chalky so far, so I'm picking that.
All right. Well, I'm going to go one step further on you, David. And I'm going to take Mikey Carr to be in the finals against Peyton Robb, and I'm going to take Peyton Robb to win.
Okay. So we don't have a lot of faith in Levi Haynes and Kendall Coleman.
No, I really like Levi Haynes, but Mikey Carr is undefeated this year. He's 4-0. Yeah. And he's going to be a doctor. He's got to know what he's doing.
And he's going to steal a spot.
Yep.
Because he did not qualify the weight. Okay. Dean Hamidi, Cam Amin, Patrick Kennedy, Alex Facundo, Carson Karchla. There's a pretty significant drop-off after that. Caleb Fish, Max Mayfield, Danny Bronigal, Andrew Sparks, etc. Okay. Mark.
I'm going so far out of the ballpark on some of these. I'm going to take Patrick Kennedy to beat Amin in the semis, and I'm going to take Karchla to beat Hamidi in the semis, and I'm going to take Kennedy to beat Karchla in the finals.
How many weights do you have Iowa winning right now, Mark?
Probably 8, I'm guessing.
So you have them winning 25.
Yeah. 41, 49, 65.
Yeah, 4 so far.
Yeah, and that may be all I have, but that's still a pretty good tournament for him.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, would it surprise you if Kennedy beat Amin? I mean, would you be shocked?
No, what was the score of that match?
They haven't wrestled. Amin did not wrestle.
Michigan didn't wrestle Iowa this year?
They did, but Amin didn't wrestle.
Okay. Okay, then
Amin I guess. Lost to Facundo, correct?
Amin lost to Facundo on the rideouts.
Okay. And Kennedy beat Facundo.
Kennedy beat Facundo, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Karchla lost to Facundo, I think, on a kind of a goofy call. He's had a lot of goofy calls this year. And
he got pinned by Amin. Like, that's kind of what screwed him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going outside the box. I think I need to shake some things up a little bit. I may be wrong. I may not have any of the finalists, but, I don't want to go chalk on every weight.
Yeah, I do too. I like Hamidi, though, just the way he wrestles. Like, I think of all these guys, he has the most offense. And I think at this time of the year, offense wins. But I'll take Kennedy to make the finals. I'll agree with that.
All right.
74. This is like Carter Starachi, Mikey Labs next topic for me.
Yeah.
In a really close final, like a 2-1, 3-2 kind of final.
Yeah, I would usually agree with you, David, here on this. But I don't know. Labriola's quarterfinal match is against Nelson Brands. And he beat him by 1 in the duel. And that was Nelson's first time out all year long.
Do you have them winning, Iowa winning another weight class?
No. I gotta go Sriracha over Labs.
I really wish Edmund Ruth was the 6th seed. I would love to see him try to come through the bottom side.
Yeah, I would too.
I think he beats Bailey O'Reilly. I'll say that. I know he lost to him, but I think he beats him.
Yeah.
So, and he hasn't wrestled Sriracha this year. I think that's fascinating.
Correct.
Okay. Brooks, Romero, Salazar, Fine Silver, Assad, Malchusky, Lenny Pinto, Saldano. Then it kind of falls off.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Oh, now I'm going to go Brooks to win it.
Is that your first Penn State guy to win a weight class? Or you had RBY, right?
RBY.
Okay.
I'm going to take Brooks. No, and I had Sriracha.
Okay. All right.
That's 2.
That's 3.
Yeah, I'm going to take Brooks to win, and I'm going to take him over. Man, I don't know. Salazar's so good. Pinto is I love the way he wrestles. He's a scrapper.
Can he run the Romero Salazar gauntlet?
I don't know. I think he probably could. If he beats Romero, why wouldn't you think he could beat Salazar? So I'm gonna take Pinto to be in the finals against Brooks.
Okay. I'm gonna go Brooks over Salazar. So by the way, we did not do this. Who do you have winning the Big 12s as a team?
I have, man, I don't know. I really don't know, David. I guess my picks, I got to take Iowa State because I got them with 2 champs. I got them at heavyweight winning it, and I have them at 65 winning it. I got them in the finals at 33. I got them in the finals at 84. I got them in the finals at heavy. I don't know. I'm going to take Iowa State.
You got to win them 49 too.
Yeah, I got Iowa State winning it.
Yeah. I'll take Mizzou.
All right.
Okay. All right. 197. So this is a really interesting seeding here. So like Max Dean is the 1. I think that's pretty clear. He just had that one bad weekend, but nothing bad in conference. But then it goes Allred, Bronigal, Caffey, Warner, Jackson Smith, Gavin Hoffman, Braxton Amos, Michael Foy. I mean, Michael Foy's your 9, and he beat the national runner-up earlier this year.
Yep.
So I'm going to take Max Dean, and I'm going to go way out on the limb and take Jackson Smith.
Wow.
I watched him pin Zach Bronigal, so I know that can happen.
Yep.
And I don't think he'll have a problem with Billy Janzer. And I think it's a 1-point match with Allred. And it's picking 1 versus 2 is boring.
Sure. And I'm going to pick Max Dean. I think he'll wrestle Warner in the semis. I think he'll beat him 2-1, just like he did in the duel. And I'm going to take him over. Oh, who do I want here? I'm going to go with Gavin Hoffman.
That's a good pick. He was an All-American last year, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy, right? So, like, the 5 and the 7 seeds were both All-Americans last year. The 8 seed was a world age group world champion. So, all right. Paris, Kirkfleet, Cassiope, Davison, top 4 guys in the country. Then Hilger, McDermott, Orndorff, Jacob Bullock, Jaron Smith, etc. Who you got?
I'm going to take Paris over. Oh, shit.
Can't curse, Mark.
I know. I shouldn't have said that. I said. I'm going to take Kirkfleet. I just think he's just a little bit better than Tony right now.
I'll take Kirkfleet over Paris.
Okay.
And then that would mess up the rankings again there.
Yeah.
I guess he would go to 1, right?
Yep.
I mean, because these are the top 4 guys, and Lucas Davidson's got a head-to-head over Schultz. So it'd be pretty difficult for Schultz to break into. I mean, the only way that I don't see how Schultz gets higher than 5 at nationals, right?
No, he could get 4 if Cassiope lost to Davidson. He's beaten him this year, but I mean, that would be the one way Schultz could possibly get the 4 seed, but I think they're going to be 4 and 5. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Schultz beat Cassiope this year?
No, Schultz lost. Cassiope beat Northwestern in the duel. Yeah, but Northwestern beat Schultz this year.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if Northwestern beats Cassiope, Davidson beats Cassiope, then maybe Schultz could be the number 4 seed.
Maybe. It feels like those top 4, if they finish in that order, are going to be the top 4 nationals.
Yeah.
So, okay. We'll get into the international stuff last week. The one thing I saw, I'm just curious on this, Thomas Gilman wrestled 61 kilos and I believe got tech fault.
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, it just shows you 9 pounds, a big difference, travel, all that other stuff. But, like 57 to 61 doesn't sound like a lot because we're used to dealing with pounds, but that's like basically 125 to 134.
Yep.
Give or take.
Big difference.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be up there much longer.
No. So, and we'll get into this more, but one of the things that's really important to understand is the US Open and Final X for this year is absolutely critical.
Yep.
Because you want to make the world team and you want to medal, because then you sit in the Olympic trial finals. So like guys like Jaden are already going to the Olympic weight. If you medal at a non-Olympic weight, then you're in the semi. So it's just like where Jaden would have been last year, where Dake was last year. Not last year, but in the Olympic trials. So, but like Burroughs will probably take the Dake path and wrestle 79, try to get another world title, try to get to 8, and then sits till the semis, because I don't think he's really worried about any, but plus I don't think he wants to make 74 any more than he has to.
Sure.
So, all right. Any gigantic upsets, anything else that anything you want to get off your chest before we go?
No, I'm good. I'm just looking forward to this weekend of wrestling. I hope I don't have to work the whole time, because I want to watch a little bit of the JUCOs this weekend. I want to watch NAIA this weekend. And then obviously I'm going to be really involved in what's going on in the Big 10, Big 12, some of these other conferences. I want to see if Yanni can actually win his conference.
Why are you saying that? Because he's not seeded 1?
Yes. I think he can, David. I don't know what you think, but I think he can win it.
What's interesting? GT and I were talking the other day, and we were looking up like how many national titles Penn State has won, and it's 9 out of the last 12.
Yeah.
One of the years was COVID. I think they were ranked 2 that year. Iowa was ranked 1. The next year, Iowa won it. Yeah. And then there's 1 year where they redshirted everybody and Ohio State won it. But one of the things that's interesting to think about when you go through this is they've won more national titles in that time than they have Big 10 titles.
Yes.
So I think just for people,
Cal peaks his kids for the national tournament, and he's really, really good at it.
Yeah, probably the best in the business.
Yeah.
But the other thing is this: like, there's teams built for shallow tournaments, and there's teams built for deep tournaments. Like, I've watched Oklahoma in person back to back beat Oklahoma State in the Big 12 tournament the last 2 years in a row. Actually, 1 year they tied them; they were co-champs. And last year they beat them. And then Dayton Fix outscored them at nationals.
Yep.
But the 1 year they tied them, they were pinning everybody on the back.
Yeah. That's what happens at the big dance when you got 33 kids in a bracket instead of 8 or 7.
Well, no, Big 12's got 13 teams. So I mean, I'm not going to say that.
But they only have, like, I think the most they have at any weight is 6 qualifiers, automatic qualifiers. That makes a big difference.
Oh, okay. But I think you're literally saying bodies. Yeah. No. I mean, but again, that is the reason why, because they're wrestling guys that maybe aren't as good, and they're pinning those guys.
Yep.
Where at nationals, even if you're ranked really high or seated really high, like if you're a 1, 2, 3, 4, you get a 29 to 32. but then the next round, you're getting a top 16 guy. You're probably, unless you're really good, you're not bonusing that guy. I mean, people do it, but I mean, there's people like Spencer that bonus their whole way through, but for the most part, you know, and certainly into the quarters, most people, like the amount of bonus points in the quarter, semis, and finals, I would guess is less than 20%.
Yeah.
Be an interesting statistic actually to look at.
It's going to be a great weekend of wrestling no matter what, David.
Yeah. So good luck to all the teams wrestling at all the different levels. And there's a few more state tournaments and stuff still going on too. Like the New Jersey individual state tournament is going on, and we're paying attention to that because we got a couple teams in Hall of Fame duels that are in that. So just good luck to everybody doing their thing. For Mark and for GT, who's on the road, I'm David. Thank you for watching and listening.